My fellow citizens, I stand before you today to address the outrageous, scandalous, and frankly offensive allegation that I am two-tier Keir. Now, let me be absolutely clear. There is no two-tier policing, none whatsoever. And if there is, it certainly wasn't my idea. And if it was my idea, it was only a pilot scheme. And if it wasn't a pilot scheme, it was a consultation. And if it wasn't a consultation, then Nigel Farage probably made me do it. The point is, there is no two-tier policing. How do I know? Because every report that says there might be a problem is currently being reviewed by another report which says we should wait for a third report before reaching conclusions about the first report. That's called leadership. Now, Nigel Farage keeps claiming Britain has two-tier policing. Nigel sees two tiers everywhere. Two-tier policing, two-tier justice, two-tier biscuits. If Nigel ordered a pint and got a bit more foam than expected, he'd launch a 6-month investigation and a speaking tour. Apparently, according to Nigel, every event in Britain is part of a vast conspiracy. The weather, the police, the BBC, the pigeons, everything. At this point, I'm surprised he hasn't blamed the fall of the Roman Empire on woke parking regulations. But let us discuss Southampton. The violence we witnessed was disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful. When people are angry, upset, and demanding answers, I completely understand their heightened emotions. But I prefer they express those emotions in the traditional British way, namely by filling out a form, waiting 6 months, receiving a generic email response, and then quietly giving up. That's how civilization works. Now, some people have pointed to police failures and asked difficult questions. Others have suggested officers sometimes become nervous about being labelled racist. Some say this affects decision-making. Others say it doesn't. I say let's spend several years investigating whether we need to investigate the investigation. That should settle everything. And while we're on the subject, I know people keep talking about institutional failures. Every decade, Britain discovers another institutional failure. We hold an inquiry. Everyone says lessons will be learned. The lessons are carefully written down. The report is published. The report is praised. The report is shelved. And then we begin preparing for the next inquiry. It's a beautiful system, one of our finest traditions. Now, I must address those participating in disorder. Let me be crystal clear. If you riot, you will be prosecuted. If you attack police officers, you will be prosecuted. If you damage property, you will be prosecuted. If you organise violence online, you will be prosecuted. Because unlike some people, I believe actions have consequences. And unlike Nigel Farage, I spend less time posting angry comments and more time deciding whose taxes are going up next. That is the burden of office. You may not appreciate it now, but one day you will. Or at least you'll pay for it. And to those who think shouting loudly changes the government, I have disappointing news. I am the Prime Minister. I won the election. I live in number 10. I sit in the big chair. I have the motorcade. I have the security detail. I have the Downing Street Christmas card list. In short, I have all the important stuff. Meanwhile, my critics have podcasts. So when people call me two-tier Keir, I simply smile, because I know the truth. There aren't two tiers. There is only one tier, my tier, and everyone else is invited to submit their concerns through the appropriate channels, where they will receive a prompt acknowledgement and be ignored in strict chronological order. Thank you, God save the King, and please remember, if you disagree with me, that's your democratic right. If you agree with me, that's evidence democracy is working.